Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, Brain, but if Jack's black and Betty's white, is Marvin gay?
No, Pinky. We are going to use Comics Online, which you are listening to and watching right now, as a device for taking over the world. Stand by for further instructions. Yarr!
Rob, we're so excited to talk to you at Fan Expo Chicago. We've had a number of interviews over the years, but it's very rare that we get to talk career, talk bigger picture.
Oh, yes.
So we're doing Storytime with ComicsOnline. We're doing something a little bit bigger. I'd love to hear, how did you find yourself working in the world of voice acting?
Excellent question. I am a perfect example of the phrase, putting yourself in a position to get lucky. And by that I mean, I'm from Detroit, sorry Bears fans. I mean, I love the Bears too, but come on. And I actually grew up in Flint after being born in Detroit and went to LA, like a million other kids, as a singer who became an actor. And my ostensible reason for going to Los Angeles was to continue down that path. And I was. I moved there in 1978. And I was doing episodic television, jingles for commercials, improv, TV, MacGyver, St. Elsewhere, that kind of stuff. Lots of commercials, on camera too. But while I was there, after being there for 4 or 5 years, my agent said, "Hey Rob, have you ever thought of auditioning for animation? Because you can sing in character and you do dialects and all that." I said, "Yeah, but there were that many people who did it." But my timing was really excellent, unbeknownst to me, because that was just when 24-hour cable, satellite, DVDs were coming along. So animation exploded. And the first shows I did were G.I. Joe and Transformers. And I walked in to the session and recognized many actors from television that I watched growing up in the 70s. They were dressed like this. They were having the time of their lives. It was the purest form of play acting. Nobody had any concerns about how they looked, which for a non-celebrity talent is a big deal. Because when you go to LA, you're understandably typed by how you look. Oh, this guy Rob, all right, let's bring him in. He's 25. He looks like he could be the son of the two people we hired to play the parents. And then there were 50 of me in the room who could all look like. So in this case, nobody cares what I look like. It's all about your chops and your willingness to play.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me about a year or two, and I called my agent and said, "You know what? I have the sort of ego that is fine with this. If nobody knows who I am, I don't care. I get to play every day." And that was 40 years ago. And now I've made the right decision. And now, surprise, surprise, nice people like you and these folks at these events do recognize me. It's amazing. And all it does is make people happy. So I got lucky because I moved it. And look, there's the Brain. Hey, God, Brain. Hello. That was my friend, the Brain. Yeah. Right, come here, Brain. Look, Brain, look at all the nice people who want to talk.
That's all the nice people who left my line and went to your line. These people are masochists. Thank you so much for waiting. I'll be right there.
I'm a Methodist. They're all masochists. Well, it is Sunday after all.
It is indeed.
Yes.
Yes, my friend. Are you going to help me take over the world today, Pinky?
I can't do anything else. I mean,
What did you say?
I said yes.
All right, very good. Hi.
Maurice, happy to see you again.
Glad to see you too.
We were talking about careers in industry. You jumped in.
Very badly.
Well,
Let him borrow mine.
Showing up this late is not how to do it.
well, Rob was just telling us a little bit about how he entered the industry. We'll jump back to that in a moment. Love to hear, how did you get your start in the industry as well?
I tripped sideways in it, to be perfectly honest. I was a stand-up comic, and I was working at the Comedy Store, and there was a voiceover agent in the audience from the William Morris Agency who I was with them for personal appearance, doing stand-up gigs at clubs. And she said, with all those impressions you do, you could do voiceover, and I was like, I heard that was like a really closed community, and
That's what I was
and
saying.
only Frank Welker, and 3 other people were. And Frank was already a friend of mine because he was friends with Howie Mandel, who was my best friend, and so I found out later that Frank was talking me up to casting directors all the time. There's this comic who does impressions. You've got to hear him. So that's kind of how I got started. But it was a full year before I got a job. But I considered in my head, I was like, I'm a comic, and I'm just trying this. I wasn't like, I got to get a voiceover job. I got to get a voiceover job. So I just kind of zenned into it. And then I got, in rapid succession, I got Inspector Gadget and Real Ghostbusters. Before I knew it, I was working 5 days a week in animation. So that's how I got started. And the great thing about our industry is if you show up on time and you are easy to work with and you've got some talent, they have you back. They go, well, let's get that guy that was good on the last thing. Let's have him back in. And that's how it started. And it's almost 40 years later.
You just brought up another one of my favorites, and Real Ghostbusters was a big part of my childhood.
Egon Spengler.
Absolute favorite.
Mold and fungi.
He was my favorite, not going to lie. And Raphael was my favorite too.
Cool.
So, I mean, this works out perfectly. But Pinky and the Brain got to have a resurgence. Animaniacs got to have a resurgence. You got a number of seasons. How did it feel getting to revisit those characters after so many years away?
Like putting on a comfortable old sweater, that had been kept properly, not one that smelled. And it was just great. You could step back into those characters and be with this guy again in a studio with people paying us to be the voices was just a delight.
It's really, truly impossible to quantify what that means. When you get another shot at a show like that because Steven Spielberg wants it, and we're not going to do it unless you guys do it. That never happens to non-celebrity talent. And look, you guys are making a fuss over us, and it's incredibly flattering. We'd be lying if we said we don't appreciate it, but we don't draw them and we don't write them. And it is a deeply collaborative effort. But watch this handsome face. Nerf! Isn't that great? I love that. That's all we have to do. It's like having a superpower or extra gas. Yeah.
But even still, just the fact that you guys get to play with these characters and share with the next generation. Obviously, there are lines of people here to see you. We want to keep you, get you back to them, quickly. But I would love to hear just for your perspective, getting to play in these worlds. I know, Maurice, we talked Futurama recently. You have these incredible shows that you both have been parts of. What do you think has been the guiding light for each of you throughout your careers? Is there anything you can share as far as what has helped you to maintain or just continue your craft for so long?
I'm constantly looking for how to make these characters interesting, not only to my friends in the studio and of course Matt Groening and Wellesley Wild in the case of Animaniacs. But to all these folks, I can't think in terms of all these folks because then I get intimidated.
They're so sweet.
I don't do a show going millions of people will be listening to this. That's too intimidating. Yeah. So I just try to do the show for my friends in the studio, and if it cracks them up, then hopefully when it goes out after it's been animated by 187 very talented people and scored and all that, and it helps that we start. The jumping off point is great scripts. That's it. I keep in gratitude as well that I even get to work in this industry, and I look at it as a way of being of service to my fellow man. Because if I can just bring a moment's relief from the human condition with something funny I said, then I'm a blessed guy.
I gratitude. You get to a certain point, you're pretty good at your job, but you always want to get better. However, we're in a time now, Mo and I have been around for a while, and we're in a time in which Mo mentioned humans. We are so in contact with one another instantaneously. You can be talking to the guy in Iceland and another guy in Japan at the same time, and honest to God, at this place in history, if we are not able to help one another out, what's the point? This whole experience at Comic-Cons is about inclusivity, joy, kindness.
Yep.
Often people on the autism spectrum who might have difficulty with social skills, here they're utterly accepted, and to be part of that is nothing short of.
And they're utterly accepted by us.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't they?
Yeah, it's really funny when people say, "You guys seem so happy." Well, Jesus Christ, why wouldn't we be?
Yeah.
we get to have nice people like you come and want to talk to us.
And you know what? It's always a joy speaking with both of you. One of my favorite moments from cons, our Futurama story we talked about recently of getting locked in a hotel while the power went out, and you guys telling me stories from the first few seasons at Comic-Con 2009.
Right.
That one was one of my favorites. But you also had a moment. We had 5 people at a press room on a Sunday at Comic-Con. I checked; it was 8 years ago.
Oh my God!
And you and the cast sang the Animaniacs theme song to us.
Yeah.
And it was just such a wonderful moment. That it's stuff like that really make a difference.
Thank you.
And I can see the passion that you guys have for the fans and sharing yourselves and your stories. It really does come through with every single
Thank
thing you do.
That's
So
well done,
thank
mission
you.
accomplished. That's exactly what we want.